Yo, what's good? What's good? NBA, YouTube. It's your boy Ross coming to you with another episode of The Rock Never Stops. Today, I want to have a very important conversation. Today, I formally introduce myself. I realized reading some of the comments, there was a couple of folks who jumped on there, and it was kind of like trying to dig at me a little bit, and I don't mind. I don't mind at all. Be real, I love that. I love it. I love all the smoke, all the heat. But then I started thinking, I was like, you know what? I never really formally introduced myself on here. Like, I just kind of started winging this thing, doing this thing because I really enjoy it. Genuinely. I love doing this. This ain't for money. This is for the love. But I said to myself, I think it's about time I introduce myself. Um, so let's go. Let's go. I'm gonna start by talking about a little bit about my playing career. I started off playing in the first grade. I played a bunch of sports, soccer. I was killing. Um, Probably be considered like a young phenom as a kindergarten, first grade, MVP trophies, all this stuff. I was killing it. But one day I saw my dad dunk a basketball and literally it changed my whole world. I was like, oh, I'm gonna play basketball. And I did. From that point forward, that was the only sport I wanted to do. And I excelled at an early age. Um, but I went through a lot with basketball. Basketball shifted from something that I did for fun at a young age to something that I did as a means of survival, to something I did to prove something to myself. Um, I'll probably say by the time I hit junior high, we moved into a tougher neighborhood and it became less about playing sports for the sake of competing, which I always competed at a higher level. If I was in first grade, I played against third grade competition in leagues. Fourth grade, if I was in second grade or third grade, I was playing against the fifth graders in different leagues because they just couldn't put me in the same age category because it just wasn't fair. But unfortunately, I didn't really have like a lot of guidance in terms of like how to like really progress your career, AAU teams and all that. So I just kept hooping. But then when I got to junior high, we moved into a tough neighborhood. So there was like a lot of gangs and stuff between junior high and high school. And so basketball became like a means of survival. Became everything. I dribbled my ball to school, dribbled my ball back home, dribbled my ball all the way to the court right after school. Stayed up there until the lights came on and it was too dark to see the rim. I did that probably from the eighth grade till I was about 19 or 20, maybe like 6 to 7 days a week, honestly, trained on my game. I'd watch moves from the NCAA or and one mixtapes or anywhere I could see it. I remember watching Juan Dixon and the Maryland Terrapins playing. I want to say was it Indiana against Jared Jeffries in the NCAA championship game. And Juan Dixon hit this uh, through the legs, step back jumper, and I must have trained that shot for about 3, 4 days for hours in the heat in the sun just so I can get it down. That's what I did. Basketball was everything to me. Everything. My first tattoo, God, family, money, ball, nothing else matters. I hoop. I hooped everywhere. Street ball, leagues, everything. Everything. When I got out of high school, the kids from my class, all of them were going D1. All of them were going not just D1, D2. Some eventually went on to play overseas professionally. Some had an opportunity to play with the Warriors. Um, like we were a good class. We were a good class, honestly. We had a lot of talent out here in the Bay Area. Um, the Bay Area also that produced Leon Poe, Oakland Soldiers. If you know one, you know one. If you're not, you're not. But it's to say that basketball was what I did. Eventually, I would go on, play some college ball, and then from there, did some travel ball overseas, Philippines, um, Eastern Europe, did some shit there. But then coaching, ironically, was my real passion. I remember one of the first games I can remember seeing was Jordan in the NBA Finals against the Los Angeles Lakers, and I saw Pat Riley, and I said, "I want to be a coach. I'm going to be an NBA coach." And so I always had in the back of my mind coaching. Always had it. I would do it naturally on the court, always trying to coach people up, direct them, tell them where to go. And then when I got out of high school, right before I played college ball, I started coaching right out of high school. Started coaching high school. Eventually, I would play some college ball, but then I would go back to the same team and coach with the same coach. And so I ended up coaching college. I coached AAU teams, NJB teams, travel teams. I coached teams going overseas. I coached teams going into different spaces, um, just about everywhere for years. I worked with the Warriors, running their camps, ran camps at the local colleges. I developed athletes uh, for about 10 years, right out of really kind of out of high school, maybe like 1920. Started working with track athletes, professional boxers, professional basketball players, overseas players, college players, all of it. I got my degree in kinesiology. I studied kinesiology because I want to understand the body. I want to understand how to develop a body to be able to maximize your talent, to be able to maximize your skills, to be explosive. I remember I used to train at 24 Hour Fitness for a little bit of time, and I had my side business too, training athletes. I had these different workouts. I had this one workout called my Derrick Rose workout, which essentially was s- solely about becoming an explosive athlete. I got to the point where I could dribble the ball in only 4 dribbles. I can get from one baseline to the other and dunk. I'm only about 5'11". Like this was what I did. This is what I did. I worked with some NBA players, had an opportunity to work with guys who were going into training camps, stuff like that, playing overseas. I mean, I did my thing. I did the skill building stuff, the stuff you see people working on in the off season, working with the ball handling drills and all that stuff. I did all of that. Did all of that. But you know what? I didn't just stop there. Within my kinesiology program, we also learned about the history of sports, began to understand the business of it, began to understand the sociological aspect of it, why these professional sports move in the way they do, why some of the things are the way they are, how to understand the dynamics that take place. And so we began to study things like, why do owners always want to build a new stadium? What's the value in it for them? What's the economics behind understanding why there's a salary cap? How they're able to exploit players in order to increase their profits? Why it was a big deal that Michelle Roberts took over the NBA Players Association as their lead contract negotiator and was able to understand how to read books of the owners so that she could see all the money that they were hiding for so many years. Why certain owners will lose on purpose just so that they can get a tax write-off, cutting and claiming losses because their team didn't win. How they're able to do these things because they have a monopoly and that there's no competitive league within the United States that offers a professional platform on their level. Why they undermine other people's attempts to do so, such as LeVar Ball when he started coming out with his league, right? Understand the NCAA, all these different things, history of all this stuff, right? So it's not like I just come out here and just like spit, you know what I mean? Like I'm just not like somebody who's just like, oh, I like basketball. I'm coming out here like I love this shit. Like I love it. Like I've there was a period for about maybe 8 years where I can tell you the name, height, weight, college, play background, and future outlook of every single NBA player in the NBA. I can go through the whole roster. I say like today now I'm older. I don't have as much time and I don't want to hold that much brain space for it. But I could still probably name you about 80 to 90% of every single team. Every just off the top of my dome. Name, height, future outlook, where they are in their career, the background, where they came from. I can tell you the last high schoolers to come into the NBA. High schoolers that are coming into the NBA straight from college before the G League created that option that you didn't even know they were taking that route, but they just did something a little bit different, right? Going to the IMG Academy or sitting out and doing an internship with Puma, right? Like there's levels to this. There's levels to this when you really understand the game of basketball. There's a reason why I don't really have favorite teams, which is ironic because you got some fans that seem to be, I guess they're Raptor fans because they're only commenting on the Raptor videos that I've been doing, but they're criticizing me for certain points, but I'm like, I'm not even saying that, bro. It's like, why you being sensitive and you're not even listening to what I'm saying? You don't even realize I'm a Raptors fan. Like, and what it takes for me to be a fan of a team is a whole lot. I gotta really mess with the owner. I gotta mess with the front office. I gotta mess with the coach. And I gotta mess with the actual roster construction and the future outlook of the team. All of that has got to hit before I say I'm a fan of this team. Otherwise, 90% of the time, I'm just a fan of players. Or I'm a fan of a certain coach or what they're doing, right? And it's not even about just winning. It's not about that. It's about teams that respect the game, that respect the game. People don't really understand there are owners out here who don't give a crap about the game of basketball, but they understand the business side of it and they use it as a platform to make more money, like the Minnesota Timberwolves. The previous owner, he was on that BS. There's a reason why Kevin Garnett said the only thing I regret about my time in Minnesota is that I didn't leave sooner. Gave all his trust to this organization that smiled in his face and gave him money, and he thought he should be loyal because they gave him money. Instead of understanding on the back end that he was more than worth that money. And in fact, he was worth far more than what he was getting. And the owner was pocketing that. And so what he thought was somebody who was smiling at him, who really enjoyed him as a human being, actually just wanted him there for profit because you were making him money. So you were his golden boy. And that's how he was treated. He didn't understand his own value. But you know what? We all make those decisions. So it's to say that honestly, when you see me out here, I'm not just like I'm not just talking out my behind, like there's real substance to what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? And I respect anyone who wants to respond like for real. Like I'm not mad if you ain't basketball guru and shit. You know what I mean? It's like it's cool. It's cool. You know what I mean? Like I went to grad school to study psychology specifically because at the time I still wanted to be an NBA coach. So I wanted to understand the mind and how to develop confidence and how to develop athletes. Like like this is what I do. This is what I do. I couldn't stop doing this if I wanted to. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be following the NBA, not NCAA. I don't give a damn about NCAA. I track it because I care about the NBA, because I love the competition. I love to see the game at its highest form. At its highest form. This is an art. This is an art. I love seeing the evolution of basketball from the time when they said Allen Iverson, you couldn't win with that style of play. Now everybody wants guards who play that style of play. Without Allen Iverson, there would be no CJ McCollum. There'd be nobody getting mixed up. There would be no James Harden through the legs, step back, step back, step back, step back, three. There wouldn't be that if it wasn't for Allen Iverson. Understanding the history of the game, understanding how we evolved to this point, understanding these different movements that teams go through and transitions, and why I can critique the owners of the Golden State Warriors and be from the Bay and still love the fact that we got championships and we get to enjoy this period, even though we don't even get to really enjoy it because we can't afford to go back into those arenas. You know what I mean? Like I get those things. You know what I'm saying? I see why owners be trying to move teams just so that they can get basically free land so that they can utilize that as profit for their own businesses and they can take the equity out of that and put it into more business deals. Like you think they just leaving because they want a fixed up stadium. Nah, bruh, it's bigger than that. It's about the bread. Like these owners don't give a damn about you as a fan. So when I say I'm a fan of a team, yo, it means something. Toronto Raptors, yo, they've been doing things right for a long time, even if it took them a while to figure it out. They put that stadium where? Downtown. Why? So it doesn't affect neighborhoods. It doesn't create poverty in certain residential neighborhoods because if you put a stadium in residential neighborhoods because the traffic flow, it actually decreases the value of the residential neighborhood. Yo, this is stuff it's stuff that I sit walking around with for fun. You know what I mean? Like I've forgotten more information than like 90% of these YouTubers like are trying to figure out. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's not to brag, but it's to say, like, bro, before you on here, you know what I'm saying, trying to like critique me and be like, oh, one of you YouTubers. I'm like, bro, stop. You know what I'm saying? Don't come at me with it. Like, if you got a perspective, share it with me. You know what I'm saying? Let me know. We can go back and forth all day. I love it. I be in the barbershop. I do that. You know what I mean? But don't come at me and act like I'm just some cat that just walked in off the street. I don't care if I got 100,000 viewers or two. You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing this for the love, straight up. And so, for those of you who don't know, my name is Ross, and I do this. I'm out.